Daedalus and Icarus. Daedalus built a labyrinth for King Minos, but lost favor with the king once it was completed. He was locked away in a tower, but he planned an escape, but unfortunately could not do so by land or by sea, so he chose the air. He put together wings for himself and his son Icarus, securing the larger feathers with thread and the smaller feathers with hot candle wax. Once the wings were completed, he tried them out and found they worked wonderfully. He secured a pair to his son Icarus and showed him how to use them. When the time came for the escape, Daedalus warned Icarus not to fly too low to the sea, or else the mist would make his wings wet and heavy, and not to fly too close to the sun, or else it would melt the wax. As they flew, people on the ground looked up at them and confused them with being gods, because they were able to fly through the air like birds. Icarus became so excited that he left his father's side and flew higher into the sun and closer to the sun's heat rays. Soon the sun melted the wax on his wings, and he plunged into the sea below. Daedalus tried for many hours to search for his son, but could not find him beneath the waves, for he was lost. Later on he found his son's body and burned it, naming the land of which his son was buried Icaria, in memory of him. He arrived safely in Sicily, and there built a temple to Apollo, and offered his wings as offering. The moral, I believe, is in this story is to follow your parents' instructions, and to be obedient, or else the consequences may be more than you can handle. Another story that holds a very good moral is that of Echo and Narcissus. Echo was a beautiful nymph who lived amongst the woods and the hills, and loved to engage in any type of conversation, but she always had to have the last word. One day Hera was searching for her husband Zeus, whom she believed was with the nymphs. Echo plotted a way to distract Hera, and approached her, engaging her in a never-ending conversation, in order to allow the other nymphs to get away. When Hera found out what she was up to, she sentenced Echo to only being able to reply to someone's words, so she may still have the last word, but wouldn't be able to speak first. After this, Echo saw a young hunter named Narcissus, and fell in love with him. She longed to speak to him, but could not do so due to her punishment. One day when he was separated from his hunting group, he called out in search of them, and when Echo replied, she came running to him by his request. When he saw her coming with open arms, he ran away from her, saying he would rather die than be hers. Echo ran and hid in embarrassment, and spent the rest of her life living in caves, until she faded away and all that was left was her voice. The Muses. The Muses are the daughters of Zeus, and each muse represents a different element of art. Calliope is the muse of epic poetry. Clio is the muse of history. Euterpe is the muse of lyric poetry. Melpomene is the muse of tragedy. Terpsichore is the muse of choral dance and song. Eurata is the muse of love poetry. Palaemon is the muse of sacred poetry. Urania is the muse of astronomy, and Thalia is the muse of comedy. According to the ancient Greek legends, the Olympics were started by Hercules, who was the son of Zeus. The first Olympic Games we still have recordings of were held in 776 BCE, though it's believed they were going on much longer before that. These games grew and continued to be played every 4 years, but in 393 CE, the Roman Emperor Theudas I, who was a Christian, banned them for their pagan influence. 1500 years later, a Frenchman named Pierre de Coubertin began the revival. Today the games are strong and thriving. Many of the games played have gone from the discus, chariot races, and wrestling to gymnastics, swimming, and ice skating, and many other games. But some have also stayed the same, like running, jumping, and the javelin. Back then, the second and third place winners weren't acknowledged for their rank. Only the first place winner was. The symbols for the games has changed as well, from the wreath to the Olympic torch. Silenus, the teacher and foster father of Dionysus, went missing after getting drunk and wandering around. He was found by 2 peasants and taken to King Minos, who recognized the man right away and treated him with great hospitality for 10 days and nights. On the 11th day he took him back to Dionysus, who in turn offered Midas a wish. Whatever he wished for he would have. Midas wished that whatever he touched turned to gold. Dionysus was disappointed with such a request, but granted the wish all the same. Midas was ecstatic with his new-found ability and wasted no time in testing it. Everything he touched truly turned to gold. But soon he realized that not everything was better golden. Whenever he tried to eat, the food would turn to solid gold in his mouth, and liquid would run down his throat in liquid gold. He asked Dionysus to take away the gift he gave him, and feeling pity for the king, Dionysus told him how to rid himself of the gift. He told Midas to go to the river Pactolus and follow it up to its fountain, where he would jump in and wash away the golden gift. Midas did as he was told, and the moment he entered the water he could feel the gold was washed away. Midas wanted more. He was greedy for gold, and in turn it turned against him. From this he learned to be thankful for what he had, and started giving to the poor. Well, that is, before he got donkey ears, but that's another story. It's true. Take a look. He'll get over it. The connection between ancient Greek and our modern world is still evident today in our business names, slogans, and logos. Often these names are taken from ancient Greek myths, stories, or named after gods or goddesses. Names of Greek gods, goddesses, and people in myths are still used today in movies, TV shows, and books, such as Callisto, the Greek goddess of the river used in the famous movie Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, and Galatea from the Justice League cartoons, who is Supergirl's evil clone. Another example is the classic Disney movie Hercules, which features a multitude of the myths and legends of the Greeks.